guide us. Rahul Gandhi, remember, famously hugged the Prime Minister in Parliament. So in July 2018, he said the Prime Minister uses hate, fear and anger in hearts of some of our people to build his narrative. We, that is the Congress party, will prove that love and compassion in the hearts of all Indians is the only way to build a nation. Now, the senior party leader must first act on hate coming out from within his party. Otherwise, this lecture is meaningless. So the big question we asked today is the silence of the Congress top brass not emboldening its cadre in making these repeated hateful statements against the Prime Minister.
संविधान यदि बचाना है तो मोदी की हत्या करने के लिए तत्पर रहो। बताया गया कि मैं बोला कि मोदी की हत्या कर दो। मैं गांधी को मानने वाला आदमी हूं, गांधी की मानने वाला आदमी हत्या की बात नहीं कर सकता। वो वीडियो गलत तरीके से पेश किया गया है। मेरा कहने का आशय था कि राजनीतिक चुनाव क्षेत्र में उनको पराजित दिला के इस देश का संविधान बचाओ।
कांग्रेस के निशाने पर नरेंद्र मोदी बार बार इसलिए रहे क्योंकि नरेंद्र मोदी ही विकास को नए स्तर पर परिभाषित कर रहे हैं राष्ट्र भर में। प्रश्न ये उठता है कि गांधी खानदान ने क्या मोदी का मर्डर सैंक्शन किया?
जिस तरह से उनकी यात्रा में स्वरा भास्कर, कन्हैया कुमार, सुशांत जी चल रहे हैं ना, उससे भी स्पष्ट हो जाता है माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के खिलाफ इस बेहद आपत्तिजनक बयान जो माननीय पटेरिया जी ने किया है। मैं तत्काल एफआईआर कराने का एसपी को निर्देश दे रहा हूं।
तो मोदी की हत्या करने के लिए तत्पर रहो। मोदी धर्म, जाति, भाषा के आधार पर बांट देगा।
Let's go across to guests joining us. Aprajita Sarangi is BJP MP and national spokesperson. Shobha Ojha is joining us from the Congress party. I'm also joined by Abhishek Banerjee, who's a columnist. We'll be joined with more guests in just a bit. Shobha ji, I'm coming to you first up. The Congress party, rightfully so, is very vociferous and vocal against, quote, hate speech in India. What your leader has uttered is also hate speech. It incites virtually violence against the Prime Minister of the country. Yet nobody from the Congress party has even come out and condemned him today.
We, the Congress party, has always stood for peace, have been against hate speeches, and history is witness that we have always stood for everything right in the society, and we have never encouraged such leaders. When you said that nobody in the Congress party came and opposed this personal comment by a Congress leader, the party does not approve of it. Mr. Pawan Kheda, head of the media department, has very clearly said that the party does not stand by this statement. And we have never encouraged any leader in our party to engage in such activity, though the country has witnessed a number of leaders from other parties, especially the BJP, who have time and again spoken in this fashion. But as far as Congress is concerned, Congress has never encouraged its leaders, and this has been a personal statement. And in that statement also, I'm not trying to justify that statement. I totally condemn that statement. Even when he uses the word
Hatya.
Ki hatya karni chahiye, but then in the same, if you hear the full statement, he says ki mera matlab hai political hatya, yana in the sense ki harao. That's what he said. But still, the word itself, we do not approve of it.
Ma'am, you say that you do not approve of it and that one of your party leaders has come out and condemned it. Fair enough, he's in charge of the media, he's done it. The question I'm asking today is that none of your top leaders are speaking. Your leadership is silent. And, for somebody like Rahul Gandhi who talks about politics of love,
listen,
isn't it fair enough to expect that there should be one top party
1 minute,
leadership?
1 minute.
Ma'am,
When you
may I
speak
finish
of-
my question? May I finish my question?
Yeah,
Isn't it
please go
fair
ahead.
enough to expect that your top leadership should speak in one voice and condemn it so that the message goes loud and clear? And secondly, the party should act on people like him. There are several
Listen.
instances, I've listed out 3, where the party didn't act.
See, listen, when the head of the media department comes and speaks against it, it is loud and clear that the party does not approve of it. And as far as when you said that Rahul Gandhi should have said, see, Rahul Gandhi is walking 3,570 kilometers to ensure peace in our country, to ensure that the country does not stand divided on
Precisely
the lines of caste,
so.
creed,
Since his message
religion.
is so
And
much
that
about peace,
message
I
is
expected
the
that he will reprimand this leader, or at least ask for your party leadership to
message is
reprimand
loud
him.
and clear. And tell me one incident. Tell me one incident.
Go ahead.
Tell me one incident when the BJP leaders have given the. Did he ever stand up and say that his leaders are doing it wrong? When even the Supreme Court condemned it, did any leader, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, or Mr. Modi, open his mouth in this regard?
No, but that's
Congress
exactly
party is
my
very
point,
clear
ma'am.
that
In this case,
we do not encourage leaders, or we do not follow whosoever speaks in
okay.
this.
Can I bring in my
fashion.
other
We have
guest now?
always
Suman
been
C.
very
Raman is
clear.
also a political
Our
analyst
ideology
joining
is
us.
very clear that we stand for peace, love. We are
Yeah,
against
but
hatred
action
of any
speaks
kind.
louder than
We
words.
have
Shobhaji, can I
sacrificed
please
many
take
of our
this to
leaders.
some of our other guests? Now, precisely
One minute,
because...
let me finish it.
Yes.
We have sacrificed many leaders, from Gandhi ji to Indira ji to Rajiv ji, because of hatred and because of these ideology. But as far as Congress party is concerned, Congress party is very clear that our ideology does not stand for hatred. It stands for love, harmony, and peace in this country.
And precisely because your message has been that, and I read out statements by Rahul Gandhi on politics of love, the question that goes is, you claim to be different than the others, so you cannot compare yourself to others. What about
That's
three of
what I
who
said.
did
We have always
Shobhaji,
stood for it,
please, let
so we will
me
not
take
support.
this to my other guest, Shobhaji, please. I'm going across to Aprajita Sarangi. I'm not sure if the excuse that nobody else spoke works, because the Congress party under its former
But we have
president
always
Rahul Gandhi
no,
has categorically maintained that we are different and we will not
the
allow this.
chairperson of our media
Precisely
department.
because you have lost your leaders to politics of hate and assassinations. The words used by this Congress leader of Modi ki hatya karne ke liye tatpar rahi hai, even if he may clarify and realize what he had said, the words itself should have invited some action, because actions speak louder than words. Aprajita Sarangi, what do you make of the Congress's defense today?
It's below our dignity to even respond to whatever Mr. Pateria has said. Having said that, I can only say that his statement deserves the highest condemnation. And he must remember, Mr. Pateria must remember, that he is not talking of Shri Narendra Modi ji, he is talking about the Prime Minister of India. And Rahul Gandhi has always been talking of Pyar Ki Rajniti, and this is the kind of love he shares with his fellow party men. Now, Ravan,
Has Rahul Gandhi uttered a word? Come on,
I
this
think
is too
one
much.
after the other, these words are coming out of the mouths of these Congress people, and the Congress spokesperson and others have been saying, we do not approve, these are not the right ways of saying things against the Prime Minister. This is not the response we desire from the Congress. I think there has to be a ruling, there has to be a diktat, there has to be strict instruction that you cannot talk like that about Honorable Prime Minister. And I can say with all pride, because I belong to his team and I belong to this country, that we have a Prime Minister who actually resides in the hearts of hundreds and thousands of people. He's the center of faith and devotion of many people in the country. So I think these Congress people are habitual offenders and they should mind their tongue. And I can only say that, the hatred for Prime Minister Modi is actually leading to the increase in the stature of Prime Minister Modi with every passing day.
Okay, can I in fact
These
take that?
people had
Aparajita
called
ji,
him
give me a
Ravan,
second, I'll come back to you.
Kharge. And thereafter, what happened in Gujarat, I think all of us are aware of.
Okay, in fact, I was going to ask exactly that question to Suman C.
Gujarat.
Raman. Not only the fact that these are obviously not the kind of comments that anyone would want to condone in a democracy like ours. I'm not saying it comes only from one party, but I established how the Congress under Rahul Gandhi has always talked about politics of love and that they're different from the others. So you must maintain those standards. The other problem also is that these statements keep coming out and they hurt the Congress party more than anything else. Yet it seems like Congress leaders are refusing to learn.
Yeah, I agree entirely that this statement is completely unacceptable and condemnable in the strongest possible terms. And I think it is incumbent on the Congress party to take action. It's not what they say about, preaching love and togetherness and uniting the country and all that. If they're I understand that this gentleman is not exactly the tallest leader in even the state level in the Congress party, but still, he's somebody who has been a recognized face in the party for several years, and therefore it is incumbent on the part of the Congress High Command. It is not enough for Pawan Kheda to come out and give a a statement. The Congress party has to officially say that this man is suspended from the party. And, an inquiry must be ordered into what he said and action must be taken. Short of that, forget about the facts of the matter. The Congress is not even understanding that they are putting things and giving the BJP opportunities to bash them on a platter. And, the Congress is in some ways lucky that there is no election immediately to come about. Imagine if had this been said in the run-up to Gujarat elections or Himachal. What could have happened? So I think that, even that 156 might have become 176 also. So I think that the point really is that the party must not only act, but must be seen to act.
Exactly,
yeah, and
precisely.
I think that that's not happening. That's not happening. And it will hurt the Congress party because Mr. Modi and the BJP love to play the victim card. And we've seen that over years together. I'm sure that this will, at the next campaign, I can bet my bottom dollar that this would come up and say that the Congress is, planning to kill him and so on, which is sad that such politics goes there. But why is the Congress party giving an opportunity for the Prime Minister?
From Neech to Chaiwala to will die a dog's death and we will show him his औकात to this कि हत्या कर दो, ये वर्ड ही कौन यूज करता है हत्या कर दो? अगर आपका मतलब है कि उनको हराना है तो आप बोलिए कि उनको हराना है, कोई सवाल नहीं पूछेगा. Abhishek Banerjee, I'm coming to you. Now, fundamentally, the question that also arises is, what is inciting such hateful language, such hateful thoughts against the Prime Minister? And how long is this going to continue? The Congress party justifiably is seeming to have a problem of culture here.
Yeah, Shivani, first of all, if he had made this remark in any other modern country, he would be arrested by federal agencies.
Well, there is an FIR against him, I should say. Yes,
yeah,
go ahead.
He should have been already under arrest and answering a whole bunch of questions. But beyond that, for instance, many people pointed out that such statements are actually hurting the Congress. Now we have to dig deeper into that. The Congress is a veteran political party. They are not stupid. They know that these statements are hurting. And still these statements keep tumbling out. Why is this happening? Because the Congress party and a bunch of opposition parties and many other like-minded civil society organizations, they have gone so deep into jealousy, hatred and paranoia that it's actually cooking their brains now. If you listen to the rest of what that person was saying, he was saying Modi is going to stop elections in India. You have to do this to save the constitution. The rhetoric is
fear-mongering and the paranoia also is an objection in this speech. Yes, go ahead, Abhishek.
So the rhetoric has become so inflamed. Anything happens in India, the first term they'll use is, oh, this is fascism, this is genocide. And this radical, so that's what I'm saying. It's cooking their brains. And at this point, I think the Congress is unable to help it. These statements are just coming up and the paranoia has penetrated so deep. For instance, even during the farmer protest, for instance, you might remember there were these kids who were playing video games of assassination of the prime minister. Where is this deeply radicalized, hateful rhetoric coming from? They know these statements are hurting them, but still these statements keep happening because
So why?
the paranoia is now beginning to brains. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, Miss Oja wants to respond. Go ahead, Shobha ji.
Yeah. In fact, if you come to see, Raja Pateria is neither a spokesperson of the Congress party. See, anyone speaking anything on a personal level does not go to the party's statement. It is not a statement from any of the official spokesperson. And when you say that nobody has condemned, Pawan Khera, the chairperson of the media committee, which represents the Congress party, has already condemned it. And as far as what others are saying, Congress has never stood for such hatred. Congress is the most moderate, in the most moderate form. And there are a number of leaders when BJP says what not they have spoken against our leaders, but that does not justify. I'm again saying, I'm not trying to justify this, Mr. Pateria, in what he's saying, but the BJP is trying, the spokesperson from the BJP is trying to show as if like, and others I can't see because my video is not, I cannot see who all are on the panel,
Yes.
but what others are saying that as if nobody in this country except Congress has been involved in such hate speech.
No,
but,
ma'am, I don't think anybody is making that argument. The argument is only twofold. I've got Suman C. Raman and Abhishek Banerjee speaking. Just for your clarification, let me say I've got Suman C. Raman and Abhishek Banerjee speaking. Suman C. Raman by no standards can be accused of pandering to the BJP. Even he is criticizing the Congress party. Yes, Suman wants to come in. Suman.
See, that's what I said.
No.
A man
First
speaking,
all,
any person, one person speaking from the Congress who is not even a leader, a recognized leader in the
But then
state.
why don't you act, Shobha ji?
does not
If
hold
he's
any
so
position in the
inconsequential,
state.
if he's
Who
so
does not hold
inconsequential,
See, I'll
why
tell
don't
you
you
one thing.
act against him?
Madam,
Set the law
madam, one
and
minute.
set a
Can I
standard.
speak?
Yes,
Mr.
Suman.
I'll
Can
tell
I
you one
speak?
thing,
Yeah.
Mr. Patel does not
Madam,
even
one
hold a
minute.
position in the state in the Congress party.
So, ma'am,
He does
ma'am,
not
suspend him.
Madam, 1
Ordinary
minute.
worker,
You're
if he
actually
comes and says
making your
something that
cause
does not
worse.
attribute that this is
Madam.
the party stand.
Okay,
This is not
Suman.
a party stand.
Suman,
The party
Suman.
does not approve of it. This is a
First of
personal,
all-
an individual stand. And where
First of
he
all-
also says, I
One
don't know whether
minute.
it was a slip of tongue or what. He
Okay,
immediately said
Shobha
कि
ji,
हमें हराना है।
Shobha ji,
इसका
please
इसके
yield.
मायने क्या हमें
Excuse me,
हराना है।
1 minute.
But I'm
Shobha
not
ji,
trying to
please yield,
justify
otherwise
that.
I'll have to
1 minute.
mute your mic, please. Sumant.
1
Sumant.
minute. Yeah.
Yes.
Look, the argument is no one is saying here that this kind of speeches are coming only from the Congress party. They come from all leaders across political parties from time to time. This is not a Congress issue. Right now, today, this is about a leader from the Congress who has made this statement. What would be the right approach of the Congress party? I'm not asking Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi to come and say something. From the official Congress handle, put out at least a tweet saying that this person has been suspended from the party for anti-party activities. An inquiry will be held and subsequently action will be taken. Matter ends there. When will it follow?
That
When
will follow, but the
When will
party
it follow?
immediately condemned it.
When will it follow?
Why don't you listen to that? What Mr.
When will
Khera
it
said?
follow?
The
When
party
will it
has
follow?
already condemned it.
There's
Ma'am,
no point
time
condemning
is
it if
of
you
the
don't do
essence.
anything about it.
Leaders
I'm
who
not
don't want any
understanding why the
position.
Congress party is taking all this time. You should be jumping on this and saying we don't
Exactly.
associate with this
They have
person and he's
already
out of our
done.
party. At least pending inquiry,
Mr.
he's
Khera has
suspended.
already done.
Ma'am, please understand. You
We
may
need to
say
see-
that this is
listen,
an inconsequential
1 minute.
leader of the party in the state. Fair enough. But his statement is reaching far and wide in the country. Look at the damage he's causing to you.
See, tell me one thing. When Milkis Bano's rapists and the leaders praise and justify, I don't see any debates, big debates on the TV.
Of course we
but
did.
when such incidents,
Of course
incident
we did.
happens
What are you
where
saying,
the
ma'am?
Congress has already
The
condemned it.
Bilkis Bano convict remission case was discussed on every
media
news
jump to
platform,
it and
including
they take
ours.
up this issue.
I have discussed
whereas
it.
major issues in the countries happen where you close your eyes to it.
That is not
and
true.
keep
Now,
mum.
again,
This is a
Shobha
very
ji,
And
that
what
defense is
about
not
he is
going to
not
help
the
you.
solution,
Prime Minister
madam.
of the country.
Madam,
But
what
when
about the
we
one
solution
Congress
nahi
says
hai?
something stupid, something stupid, and that
How is
becomes
this just to be categorized as something stupid? Please
What
tell me, if
about
somebody
three?
had
What
said
you are doing is
सोनिया
what
गांधी
about
हत्या
three?
करो, तो आपको कैसा
ordinary
लगता?
man from the
आपको नहीं
Congress
लगता
says
कि ये
something-
बहुत बड़ा इशू है? शोभा जी, आप कैसे इसको इतना डाउन प्ले कर रहे हो? प्राइम मिनिस्टर के लिए हत्या का वर्ड यूज हो रहा है,
which the party is already condemned.
Of course, but you are also then saying this is not a big deal. Why not? Should it not be considered a big
हत्या के
deal?
बाद what did he say?
But why is he using such terms?
हत्या के बाद what did he say?
Okay.
उसकी slip of tongue भी तो हो सकती है.
अच्छा, तो
उसका slip of tongue भी तो हो सकता है.
slip of tongue.
और उसके बाद उन्हें
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Please give time to others. Aparajita Sarangi wants to come in, then Abhishek.
See, we heard the Congress spokesperson. I am aghast. She is belittling the matter, and I think this reflects the Congress mindset at this juncture. Now, at this point, what should the Congress do? A person of consequence in the Congress party should come out and apologize for whatever Mr. Pateria has done. Number one, and number two, immediately the Congress should be seen as taking action against this particular person. See, an inquiry should be done within the next 24 hours and action should be taken against this man. Unless and until this is done, what kind of faith that the Congress is trying to give to us? How do we believe them? How do we trust them? Suppose something happens tomorrow, again one Congress person comes out and says something against the Prime Minister. See, this is demeaning the chair of the Prime Minister. Yes, in politics we can have some kind of rivalry, some kind of dislike for the person who is our rival. I am also in electoral politics and I know it happens. But there are certain standards of propriety and decency and we have to stand by those.
Okay, especially a party that claims that it stands for politics of love
doing something,
and has been telling us that for the last 5 years, certainly has set a pedestal for itself. It must stand true to that. You know, I want to bring in Abhishek once again. Abhishek, Shobha ji just said that it's not that big a matter, it's a stupid matter. I wonder if a similar statement was made against Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, how would have been taken by Congress workers? Let's not forget, when the Gandhi leaders were called even for questioning by the ED in a long-going case, there was rioting on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, Shivani, that's what my good point is, that it's not about one person, the Congress party, and as I would repeat, many like it, and civil society organizations, they have to address the growing radicalization in their ranks when it comes to the Prime Minister. This is not just today. October 27, 2013, when Modi ji was not even Prime Minister, they stood at Gandhi Maidan and there were bomb blasts. At that time also, I remember very, very radical kind of statements were made belittling his need for security. We remember what happened in Punjab on the flyover incident, how people were talking about his security. This kind of radical, hateful rhetoric, they have to get a grip on themselves. They have to dial down the kinds of words that they're using every time they use words like fascism, genocide. Even if they are doing it for cynical reasons, they have to understand that at the grassroots, even small-time leaders, maybe like Pateria, maybe they are small-time workers, and all these people, they are getting radicalized by this messaging that is coming out. And they have to get control of themselves. They have to get a grip of their temper. They have to reduce their level of jealousy and hatred. And they have to accept the fact India has never been more democratic than it is today. It's a reality. They have to accept it. And once they can accept it, then maybe they can really find a way to actually defeat the Prime Minister electorally.
Shobha ji, in fact, let me give you an opportunity to respond to that. One of the accusations the Congress party faces is that your anti-Modiism often becomes anti-Indiaism. And this is also one of those things that where the political end becomes so strong that you forget that Narendra Modi is the chosen leader and has justifiably been occupying the position of the Prime Minister. Look at the rest of the speech that the leader made. Look at the rest of the speech that the leader made. It is so hyperbole and so so much fear-mongering in his speech.
Mr. Manmohan Singh ji was called so many names by these very leaders who have become today, who are saying that don't speak against our leader, or these very leaders. What not did they speak against Mr. Manmohan Singh, a person like
But ma'am, you say you are different.
Who had like all the respect throughout the world, who is acclaimed leader. And listen, 1 minute. As far as Congress party and democracy is concerned, we vouch for it and we have laid down our leaders to protect the democracy of this country, to protect the very nature, the very core nature of this country. We have laid down a number of leaders. Can BJP name a single leader whom they have laid down? It is just like nationalism. This is the pseudo nationalism they talk about. So let's not get into that issue. But as far as what issue today we are discussing, I said that Congress party has already condemned it, and we need not there's no point discussing that.
Ma'am,
point
you said
again.
that action
when
will follow.
The chairperson condemns. Yeah, action will follow. Definitely, he's a state leader. The state has to take action, and the state will take action against him. That goes without saying that the state will
so in that
definitely
sense, we expect
how did he utter that word. But at the same time, I would say,
yes,
it could have been a slip of tongue also, because immediately he said कि चुनाव में हराना है, पूरा आप statement दिखाइए उसका.
that there will be some action that will follow.
Even if the Supreme Court had to interfere,
if that action is taken, and Ms. Sarangi, if the action is taken, then will you be satisfied? It would be more than sometimes what the BJP has done on its own bottom-out leaders.
How many actions have been taken against BJP leaders?
I have asked you that question only, Shobhaji. Please allow me to do the questioning.
Can I respond?
Please allow me to do the questioning.
Taken against BJP leaders for hate.
Shobhaji, please relent.
The court had to interfere.
Aparajita Sarangi, if action follows on this leader, it is possibly more than a lot of times what the BJP itself has done. Will you be satisfied then?
No, see, strict action needs to be taken in this case. As I told, I would reiterate, they are habitual offenders. What's the guarantee that they would not do it again tomorrow against the Prime Minister? And I'm sure strict action would be a deterrent. There has to be ruling. There has to be strict instruction. Now, where are these instructions? Where is the person who is actually mattering in the Congress setup, who is coming out and apologizing and saying things to assuage the feelings of every Indian, I would say. See, Prime Minister Modi is loved by all. So to say that only, it's only for, he's a BJP neta thinking in those terms is not right. This actually reflects the weakness and insecurity of the Congress. All these words of the Congress actually increase the stature of Honorable Prime Minister, I repeat.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
I think
thank all of our guests
must come out into the open, people who matter, and apologize.
We'll wait and see if action comes. If it does, then of course that will be that is something that will be appreciated from the Congress party, because it has indeed become a routine faction that there are some or the other personal statements against the Prime Minister that are made by one leader or another. Moving on, the Shinde Fadnavis government is facing flack over alleged misuse of Nirbhaya funds. According to a report, cars bought by Mumbai police under Nirbhaya Fund were used in the security of MLAs and MPs of Eknath Shinde's faction. According to the report, 30 cars are yet to be returned that were provided for Y+ security to Shinde faction leaders. Report says it has impacted the police patrolling in the jurisdiction of respective police stations. The opposition is up in arms, asking for an audit of the Nirbhaya Fund on Team Shinde's watch. A state minister refuted the claims and has hit out at the Mahavikas Aghadi leaders, calling the report false and baseless. Facing flack though, the Maharashtra DGP has now ordered withdrawal of these vehicles from the security convoy of politicians. Remember, in 4 days from now, it will be 10 years to the horrific Nirbhaya gang rape in the national capital. And it could be the biggest insult to her memory. Has Shinde government betrayed the people of Maharashtra and sent out a very wrong message to the rest of the country? We'll take that question to our guests in just a bit, but take a look at how the Nirbhaya Fund is supposed to be used versus what it was actually used for as per this report by the Maharashtra government. Now, the fund is supposed to be used to build emergency response support systems to make women's lives safer, but cars were used as escort vehicles for ministers instead. This money is for setting up of Mahila police volunteer teams, but was used for procuring cars allotted to Shinde MLAs and MPs. Also, this fund is to provide legal aid, psychosocial aid to victims, but was used to escort cars for G20 delegation. Certainly, funds is not an issue for the Maharashtra government. Shinde government is on the back foot, but explanations or excuses coming from them hardly suffice. So Krishna Hegde, one of their MLAs from the Shinde faction of the Shiv Sena, has said that the spend on the vehicles is not even 1% of the Women's Safety Fund. But why even 1%? While Kiran Pavaskar of the Balasaheb Shiv Sena has gone on to question the opposition. How did the opposition utilize the Nirbhaya funds? He's hinting to the fact that the funds have been underutilized over the years and that the opposition should give away their security cordon if so concerned. Well, these statements are certainly not enough. As we get set to observe 10 years of the Nirbhaya case, the question we ask, is this not a massive betrayal by the Shinde government?
They have diverted these cars that came out of Nirbhaya funds, as private security vehicles for those rebel MLAs.
Yeah, 100% it's a false charges. He has not studied well.
Chandrasekhar Jha is from the Uddhav faction of the Shiv Sena. We are to be joined by Krishna Hegde, Shiv Sena leader from the government faction, and Nirmal Kaur, former IPS officer, is also joining us. Let me take some of the explanations that have come in from the government to Chandrasekhar Jha. They have gone on to say that the fund that has been diverted, quote unquote, is very, very little, just 1%. And secondly, that a lot of this was also happening when the Uddhav Thackeray government was in power. Your response?
See, this case is clearly a case of misuse of an authority. If you see this kind of fund is being misutilized, even percentage does not matter, even 1 rupee does matter. Misuse of such fund which has been allotted to the victims of rape and protection of women, this kind of misuse cannot be tolerated by any of the governments. Either we were in the government, either they are in the government. But now the question is that this fund is being misused for the purpose of escorting the VIPs of the Maharashtra government. Why? And this requires a inquiry and investigation by a judicial authority.
No, fair enough. But Mr. Jha, what is your response to the counter allegation that this was also happening when you were in power? By you, I mean the Uddhav Thackeray led government.
Let them show, because they are just making out an allegation does not mean that we have done it. We are making an allegation which is clearly on papers. The police are saying that these vehicles are being used for escorting the VIPs in the Maharashtra government. So these things are real. What we have done or what we have to do was done before. Let them come out with all the things.
Yeah, fair enough. They're in power. They could get hold of those documents. We'll wait and see. I'm waiting Krishna Hegde to join us. But let me go across to Nirmal Kaur, who's a former IPS officer. Nirmal Kaur, I think it's quite obvious to anybody who's reading and following this story. The funds that are meant as Nirbhaya Fund for protection of women and also for, greater safety of women on the streets, also for services that are required by many victims of sexual assault and of rape cases. Those funds, and in this particular case, cars that have been procured under those funds have been diverted for escort duty. This will certainly impact the police's job, as the report claims, in those areas where these cars were to be deployed.
Definitely, the very idea of Nirbhaya Fund is that this fund was allocated as a separate corpus to look after the needs of women's safety and security in particular, and women in distress, their empowerment, their safety, their coming out. So even when the fund is not so blatantly misused as it appears to be in the case that you've quoted, fund is not optimum. There's no optimum utilization. Okay. One has to make an audit. What is it? What is it that makes the women feel most insecure?
Right. I'm just cutting away to some breaking updates now coming in. Please hold on with me. This is a big update that we're getting via sources. There's been an India-China troops clash at Tawang sector. But what we're also getting to know is that both sides have immediately disengaged. So a confirmation of sorts that is coming in via sources of a clash that has taken place between India and Chinese forces. Abhishek, my colleague, is joining us. Abhishek, what more do we know?
So this incident has happened on 9th of December, and we know that along India-China line of actual control, there is a lot of confusion in terms of perception of the boundary line, and this has happened in the past also, that there has been skirmishes and clashes and differences between the two sides. But this first hand, it looks like there was face of could have been combat between the two sides. because the injuries have been reported among the soldiers of both the sides.
Okay.
And the incident has happened on 9th of December. This comes after almost after 2.5 years of Galwan clash, which has we have seen that 20 soldiers were killed in that conflict, and few Chinese soldiers were also killed. So since then, it looks like this is going to be one of the major, conflict where both sides engage physically Indian soldiers and with their Chinese counterparts, and this has happened at a line of actual control in Tawang sector, which was contested by troops in a firm and resolute manner. So this is what we are getting through our sources, that Indian defense line, Indian forces, Indian soldiers at that Tawang line of actual control, they were very firmly and they very strongly pushed back Chinese soldiers in that area. And this face-off has led to minor injuries to few personnel from both the sides. However, there has been line of contact established on both the sides. Both sides immediately disengaged from the area. As a follow-up of the incident, and own commanders in the area held a flag meeting with his Chinese counterpart. Indian commander held a flag meeting with his Chinese counterpart and discussed the issue in accordance with a structured mechanism to restore peace and tranquility. We know that there is established mechanism between India and China whenever there is a conflict or there is a confusion in the line of actual controls perception.
Right.
Established mechanism calls for a meeting among the commanders, and that to dissuade and to not let the situation aggravate further. And this is reported, and the incident was reported, happened on 9th of December, and we are getting the information now.
You did mention that there have been some injuries, there have been minor injuries that have been faced to personnel from both sides. My colleague Akash is also joining us. Akash, more details that you're picking up?
So, Shivani, as Abhishek rightly mentioned, this happened on 9th of December, and, this is a major incident after 2020. We have seen Galwan where, 19 of our soldiers laid down their lives, including Colonel Santosh Babu, and this is happening at a time when, we are already seeing the escalated conditions at some point. This has been reported from Arunachal Pradesh, which is the eastern sector of actual line of control, and, we are learning that there are injuries on both the sides. And as I, mentioned earlier, it happened on 9th of December. And, as far as the current situation is concerned, so peace and sanity has been, restored in that particular area. In fact, commanders from both the sides had a flag meeting, and as of now, peace has been restored in the area. But this is something reported from Arunachal Pradesh, and, this is not very common in that particular sector. In fact, specifically in the eastern sector, because these conditions are normally reported from the western sector, in the eastern Ladakh sector, or in fact sometimes in the Himachal Pradesh as well. But as of now, this has been reported from Arunachal Pradesh. Yeah. And, we are learning that after 2021, this is the incident. In fact, in 2021, we did not have any physical clash, but yes, there was some sort of, dispute on one point. However,
yes, and Akash, I think our viewers will remember, of course, the position that China often takes on Arunachal Pradesh. Just to understand the context and the history of the conflict between India and China, especially when it comes to Arunachal Pradesh, where this latest incident has happened. Let me also go across to Zaka Jacob, who's joining us live. Zaka, certainly not good news as far as India-China relationship is concerned.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that this is happening in Tawang, and like you said, Tawang has been contested by the Chinese. They look at it as part of southern Tibet. I think the second most important monastery in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism, is in Tawang. So it's a hotly contested area politically as well. But I think the sense that we're getting from the statement that's been put out, which Akash was referring to from top MOD sources, these are official sources from the Ministry of Defense, that there were minor incidents to soldiers of both sides, both Indian soldiers as well as the Chinese soldiers. Whether there were any weapons used or whether this was hand-to-hand combat like we saw in the Galwan incident that happened in June 2020, we don't know. What we do know is that this statement also suggests that there are no fatalities on either side. So that tends to give the impression that this was no weapons of any grave nature were used in this. Look, the fundamental problem is there are differing perceptions of where the line of actual control is. Not just in Tawang, but in other parts of the line of actual control. And the critical thing as far as Tawang is concerned is, again, it's a fight for capturing the heights. because now the snow will set in, and for the next 6 months or so, you will not be able to access the heights unless you do it now. So this incident happened, we're given to understand, on the 9th of December. As of now, minor injuries sustained on both sides. The problem also, Shivani, is the last round of clashes that we had in June 2020, Galwan and all the other points, those friction points have not been resolved completely yet. Certainly in Depsang and in Demchok, two critical areas in eastern Ladakh, the face-off still continues. Disengagement has not happened. The one good news that we have about what happened in Tawang on the 9th of December is that commanders, on-ground commanders of both the Chinese and the Indian armies sort of quickly established a flag meeting there, after which we're given to understand that soldiers of both sides disengaged. So that seems to be the situation on the ground as of now. But once again, it sort of highlights the possibility and the potential for A, miscommunication, and B, more importantly, these kind of clashes between India and China. And I guess the sense that one gets is that this will be taken very, very seriously at the highest levels of the government of India, not least because the ongoing situation in Demchok and Depsang in eastern Ladakh has still not been fully resolved. And as the External Affairs Minister said the other day in Parliament, we are right now not in a normal relationship with China. It is not a normal bilateral relationship until these border skirmishes are addressed and addressed forthwith.
So this is, of course, the major first incident since June 2020, the Galwan clash. But as far as Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, Zaka, in 2021 October, there was an incident where some Chinese soldiers of a large patrol team were detained for a few hours by the Indian Army as they engaged in a minor face-off and clash near Yangtze. So, of course, we do know that Arunachal Pradesh, as you very rightly mentioned, China contests as part of its own territory or Tibet territory. Now there is a flag meeting that has taken place. What is the next mechanism, Zaka, that you think will follow from here?
So there is already an established mechanism whereby the levels of escalation, the commanders on ground, the on-ground commanders are the first level of defense. They've already held the flag meeting and diffused the situation. If they were not able to, then it goes to the area commanders and then eventually the corps commanders and so on. So that's the built-in process of escalatory mechanism that they have to try and resolve the situation. Like I said, though this statement does not give the exact details, fact is that it says that both Chinese and Indian soldiers have sustained minor injuries, so which means I'm assuming that they didn't use any guns or weapons of any grave form or nature. But certainly what it does highlight and what it does certainly question is how long can both countries, both big countries, nuclear armed countries, continue with these not defined markings of the line of actual control. And like I said, this deferring perception business is not just on the eastern sector near Tawang. That, of course, is hotly contested for political reasons as well. But we've seen this in Ladakh, we've seen this in the middle sector in Uttarakhand as well as in Himachal as well. The border process, we've had the special representative talks. I think 20 rounds of those talks have happened for the last 20 plus years now. But it really has not yielded any kind of a resolution. And I think this might give the impetus for a new round of SR level talks. Remember, from the Chinese side, after the 20th Party Congress and the change of guard there, you will now have a new special representative. I'm given to understand it will likely be Wang Yi, the former foreign minister. I think the impetus now will once again be on why are there these frequent misperceptions of the LAC? Like you said, that incident that happened in October 21 was again a patrol party of the Chinese PLA coming into territory that India perceives as marked Indian territory. And this happens vice versa. Indian troops go into the Chinese side and they are also confronted there. So this keeps happening, this sort of lack of perception or misunderstanding of perception of where the LAC actually lies. But the fact that it's leading to clashes, even though they are minor ones, I mean, this could have very well escalated. If somebody opened fire, this could have very well escalated to a much graver consequence. But the fact that it seems like, as of now, only minor injuries have been sustained on both sides indicates to me that weapons of any grave form were not used. And that, I think, is one good news, that it's been quickly resolved. B, like Akash was saying, a flag meeting was held by the local commanders there. And right now, the situation we're given to understand is normal.
Generally, when such news first breaks, of course, both sides tend to play down the incident, and that is for obvious reasons. In this case, we'll have to wait and see exactly what is the extent of what has happened. But Zaka, the fact that there is, I'm not sure if we can say that another front has been opened because this is an existing area of dispute. But the fact that, in Ladakh, the dispute is already ongoing and we are still continuing to be eye to eye, and then something like this happens, that is not good for the relationship between the two countries.
The External Affairs Minister has been saying, and he said in Parliament last week as well, right now the bilateral relationship between New Delhi and Beijing is not a normal one. And it's not going to become normal until this LAC question is resolved, until there is full disengagement in the two remaining parts in eastern Ladakh, which is Demchok and Depsang. Some of the other places like PP15, PP17, Gogra, etc., they've managed to, over multiple rounds of Corps Commander talks, I think there have been 14 or 15 rounds of those talks, they've managed to disengage in those points. But in Demchok and in Depsang, it still continues. And until that is resolved, like the EAM said, we're not in a normal relationship. Tawang, of course, has not just the issue of, lack of understanding of each other's perception of where the LAC is. Tawang in particular for the Chinese, they view it as part of southern Tibet. Like I said, the second most holiest shrine in Tibetan Buddhism is in Tawang. There used to be at one point a China recognized a Lama who is the second most powerful Lama, I'm given to understand, who is based in that monastery in Tawang. And right now, with the advanced age of the Dalai Lama, the next Lama could come from any of these monasteries, including the one in Tawang. So I think it has far important, consequences and reasons why the Chinese are particularly perturbed about Tawang, and that is one of which has got to do with, the seat of Tibetan Buddhism, as it were.
All right. Zaka, thank you for joining us. Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director, India Foundation, Dr. Tara Karta, former Director, National Security Council Secretariat, both joining us on the show. Major General, how are you viewing this latest episode? Could this escalate or is this going to be managed at the local level?
Thank you. I think this is a matter of concern. Specifically because the Tawang sector as such, the LAC is very clearly demarcated. In fact, we have the McMahon line there. It is very clearly demarcated, and the Indian side and the Chinese side know exactly where the line lies. So for any incident to take place in the Tawang sector, to me, frankly, has come as a surprise. The matter has been resolved as of now, but the fact that the Chinese came up and attempted to do something, I think is a matter of concern. And the area needs to be watched very, very specifically because the Chinese are intent on creating mischief in this region.
Dr. Tara Karta, if this is indeed a deliberate mischief creation by the Chinese, how do you look at it? We've got issues going on in China itself, and this could effectively be opening up of another front after Ladakh versus India. How do you see it? Dr. Tara Karta, that question was for you. Dr. Tara Karta, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Yeah, no, I would be, there are two ways of looking at this. One is, as the Major General, as he said, this is not an area where there should normally be a problem. But the thing is, whether China wants to, it can either say, I've got trouble inside my country now, so I don't want to do anything outside right now. Or it could say, I can use an issue to drum up nationalism. But in this case, there's been a lot of, I believe there's been a lot of troop movement. There's been a lot of bringing up of troops, bringing up of, the forward, their capabilities in the forward areas. So on, and including the north and in the northeast. So it could be in part explained by that. But since they've had a flag meeting, one hopes that the issue will die down. I think this is the first clash in quite a long time. So it is of concern. And I'm not, until we get a little clearer as to what exactly happened. I mean, the last, I think, was August 2020, where they had
Ma'am, there is one incident that we have been able to fish out, which was from October 2021, when the Indian Army held a few Chinese soldiers for a few hours. I'm guessing presumably because they had strayed into Indian territory. So that incident dates back to October 2021. But those are not exactly clashes. I don't think a clash has been reported in recent times. This is, Major General, a proper clash where even minor injuries are being talked about. Could you give us a sense of the area as well, sir, the Tawang area, and what is the challenges that the Indian soldiers face there?
You see, when you look at this particular topography, towards the Bhutan border, we have the Namkachu River. And the Chinese are on the Thagla Ridge on the opposite side, and we are on the southern side. So for anything to take place astride the Namkachu is not possible. So this would have obviously been, when we go further east towards Bumla, Bumla is the place where we generally have meetings between the two sides. It is possible that the patrol may have come, a Chinese patrol may have come and come up to this point and may have tried to come further deep inside, and they would have been challenged and told to go back, which could have led to the fracas. But very frankly, the Tawang sector is the one sector where I don't expect any incident to happen the way the forces are deployed. So this has come as a surprise to me. I don't think it is a positive development. It is a very negative development, and we need to be very careful about it.
Yes, and because you're mentioning that this is one area where there shouldn't be so-called perception issues, then raises the question, how did this fracas get initiated and who's responsible for that? I do thank both of our guests for joining us at such short notice. Those were the news till now. Now let's hear a big news that we have for car owners as we slip into a short break.
The ongoing stated mindset of the Congress party, which keep reflecting by various leaders. Various leaders keep talking on this line, and then this can't happen without some basic consent or some basic line being drawn by the higher up. Because how can a leader say that I'll kill the leader, or let's kill the leader, or let's kill the Prime Minister of the country? So this is clear that it's somewhere in the mind, because they can't defeat BJP or the Prime Minister Modi electorally or democratically. So that's why they're indicating that let's kill him. And earlier I remember Mr. Manish Shankar Iyer has gone to Pakistan and has yielded to Pakistan to help remove Prime Minister Modi. So they can go to any extent because they don't believe in democracy or democratic institutions.
Absolutely. Now, how is your party prepared to deal with this statement? Are you going to be filing an FIR? What are you going to be demanding when it comes to action against this Neta?
The local BJP will take initiative in this and do whatever is desired in this matter. But this is clear that this affects the DNA of the Congress party, which if they can't remove a person democratically, then they get into other modes and means of removing the person from the electoral process, or from the country, or from the democratic process of the country.
Controversial statement of MP Congress leader about Prime Minister Modi. Madhya Pradesh Congress leader and former minister Raja Patoria says that the Prime Minister will divide on the basis of religion, caste and language. He then goes on to say, and I quote, "Be ready to hurt the Prime Minister if the Constitution is to be saved." This is a big shocker coming in.
मोदी धर्म जाति भाषा के आधार पर बांट देगा। दलितों को, वनवासी आदिवासियों को और अल्पसंख्यकों का भावी जीवन खतरे में है। संविधान यदि बचाना है तो मोदी की हत्या करने के लिए तत्पर हो, हत्या इन द साइंस कराने का काम। कार्यकर्ता की उपेक्षा नेता की उपेक्षा होती है, और नेता जब कार्यकर्ता की उपेक्षा होती है तो
Now I'm crossing over to News 18's Manoj Sharma to get us more. Manoj, ये मंत्री ऐसे क्यों कहा?
Yeah, in fact, he was addressing his party workers there in Patna district of Madhya Pradesh. In fact, last night he was talking to party workers, and he was saying that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he was referring how he's going to put an end to elections in this country, how he's going, he was simply, his allegation was that Prime Minister is in fact dividing the nation on the basis of caste, creed, language, all these things. These were the wild allegations by the former Minister of Madhya Pradesh. Raja Patoria was the minister in the Vijay cabinet. In fact, he is also saying that, referring to, very objectionable language was used by Raja Pateria, and that is why BJP has reacted very sharply. And we are right now with Madhya Pradesh Home Minister, he is also reacting on this matter. And in fact, the BJP government in Madhya Pradesh, they can go even to the extent of filing an FIR against Raja Pateria for his objectionable comment.
Absolutely. Now, Manoj, this is not the first time that the Congress member has really made statements against the Prime Minister when it comes to something of this shocking nature. Can you take us through what's happened in the past with the Congress and their statements as well?
Yeah, in fact, if you look at, you must remember that statement by Mani Shankar. In fact, now BJP leaders here in Madhya Pradesh, they are saying that all the time these party members of opposition, in fact, particularly from the Congress, they keep on targeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That's okay. They can target Prime Minister on the issues. In fact, there must be some issues on which they should target Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But how can they use such a foul language against anyone, particularly against the Prime Minister? He's a Prime Minister of the country. He's not Prime Minister of the BJP or the Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party. He's Prime Minister of this country, and how can they use such a foul language against Prime Minister? And that is why Madhya Pradesh government and can even go to the extent, as I was referring to you, that they will file some case against Raja Pateria on this matter.
Absolutely. Now, this, as you mentioned, is a big shocker because you cannot openly threaten the Prime Minister of a country like this. Can you tell us more about how the BJP has responded to this? Because you were saying that the Home Minister has, the MP Home Minister has.
Yeah, in fact, BJP leaders are saying that this language, what he is saying, that he was saying that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to put an end to election. Then he said Prime Minister Narendra Modi is dividing the nation on the basis of religion, caste and language. And then he is saying that there is a threat because of the Prime Minister to tribals and minorities. And then he keep on saying, objectionable language which we cannot even use against the Prime Minister. And that is why BJP is reacting very sharply on this matter. And in fact, we are just waiting what the Madhya Pradesh government is going to do, and we are waiting from Home Minister. I'm at his residence and waiting for his response.
Yeah, of course. Now, Manoj, one thing is done.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. We're getting some big update from the world of cinema now. RRR nominated for the Golden Globes in the Best Picture Non-English Language category. In fact, the movie has also bagged a Best Original Song nomination. So 2 Golden Globe nominations for the super hit. My colleague Shilpa is also joining us. Shilpa, the only Indian film to bag a nomination at the Golden Globes, isn't it?
Well, this is going to be the India Connect this year because RRR has bagged 2 nominations. It was expected to also bag one for Best Original Score, that was a prediction. But it has nevertheless bagged 2 nominations. A film grossed over 1,000 crores worldwide, directed by S.S. Rajamouli. It is a film that has garnered immense international attention, and now with these 2 nominations, because Golden Globes are considered the precursors to the Oscars, it could be setting the path for India's Oscar nomination as well this year, perhaps.
Yeah, Chelo Snow Show, I believe, is the official India entry, but RRR has entered itself independently as far as the Oscars race is concerned. We'll leave it at that, Shilpa. Thanks a lot for joining us. And that's all time that I have. On the other side, the right stand. Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching The Right Stand on this Monday edition with me, Poonam Burde. 3 years ago, in August 2019, the central government took the bold step of abrogating Article 370 and thus opening up doors for integration of Jammu and Kashmir in its real sense. Ever since, the centre has brought some schemes and initiatives for the development of Jammu and Kashmir, for bridging the gap between Delhi and Srinagar. Now, some initiatives may leave one wanting, and some would say that's the case with the latest proposal as well. The Jammu and Kashmir administration is planning to create a database of all families in the Union Territory, with each of them having a unique alphanumeric code, a family ID. The objective is simple. It's for ease of disbursal of welfare funds.
have an automated system to ensure last-mile delivery. But the opposition in the valley is up in arms. Former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti alleged that this was a surveillance state, that the centre was tightening its iron grip on Jammu and Kashmir. Many others too have raised data safety and privacy concerns. So is there any fact to these arguments that are being made? Are they valid concerns?